You're watching Traders Morning Setups with Dex the Algo Capitalist. Dex created his pulse wave price trigger reports over 2 decades ago, and he's been using them to ride the pulse waves as a full-time trader ever since. Find out more about Dex's reports and sign up for our next webinar to learn how to use them at pulsewavetrading.com.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you had a good night's sleep, a peaceful night's rest, and you are ready to rock and roll. So, we're getting closer to the CPI data and all that good stuff and news about whether or not we're going to get the Bitcoin ETFs. I'm sure once that is finally approved, it is going to be opening the floodgates. Everybody is going to want to rush to apply and get themselves in the mix, get their ETFs out there. So it's going to be an ETF bonanza, extravaganza. So that's going to be interesting. Looking forward to see what happens with that. Let's jump into these overnight markets, though. All right, so first on the chopping block, U.S. dollar index is down 3 pips at 102.54. We have the euro up 11 pips at 109.67. And we have the pound sterling up 22 pips at 127.26. We have the Aussie up 9 pips at 67.07. The big story this morning is the Bitcoin futures down $1,595, trading at $45,450. We have the the Ethereum futures up $141.50. Broken. Yes, it is now above the 2,400 handle. We're at $2,409.50 after topping out at $2,450 in the overnight market. Crude oil futures this morning are up 71 cents per barrel, trading at $72.95 per barrel. Nat gas down 14 cents at $3.05. Gold futures up $2.30 per ounce, trading at $2,035.40 an ounce. Silver futures are down 6 pennies per ounce, trading at $23.02 per ounce. We have copper up 2 pennies at around $3.78. Dow futures off 13 points at 37,750. And we have the E-mini S&P 500 off only a quarter of a point at 47.92 half. We have the NASDAQ 100 up 2.5 points at 16,833 and a quarter. The Russell My Hustle down 3.5 points at 1979.20. Soybean futures off 6 cents, trading at 12.41 a bushel. We have corn off 2 cents at $4.56 per bushel. And we have wheat down a penny at $6.08 a bushel. All right, so we have soybeans, corn, and wheat are off this morning. We have no 2-bar Charlie setups this morning to speak of. So we'll see how the markets go today. And better late than never, I just finished the overnight chart segment of video. So if you head on over to your dashboard at pulsewavetrading.com, you'll be able to take a look at that. All right, so the SEC says its X account was compromised and that Bitcoin ETFs have not been approved for trading. And I guess that is the reason why Bitcoin futures are now almost down $1,700. How Microsoft built one of its top generative AI products and boomers' lack of retirement savings is going to become their kids' problem. But first, here comes the money. The long, stressful days working on Wall Street led many workers to question why they're in the industry. For many, the answer comes today: bonuses. The 100-hour anxiety filled work weeks and unrelenting bosses and clients don't seem so bad once bonus season hits. As an industry insider once indicated, it's much easier to forget about work problems once you see your bonus deposited into your account. And for good reason. Bonus season is the culmination of a year's worth of work, as bankers, or should we say banksters, get most of their total compensation via bonuses. It's a number that can be eye-poppingly big. We're talking seven figures without breaking a sweat. Now, check this out. After a record-breaking 2021 bonus season, remember the 2021 was during the pandemic. It was a year after the official declared pandemic. Keep that in mind. Wall Street crashed down to earth, and then some in 2022. A non-existent M&A and IPO market meant bonuses dropped significantly. But some firms took a very un-Wall Street approach to last year's bonuses, subsidizing the lack of revenue in one division across the rest of the firm. The move was meant to keep deal makers happy, but wasn't welcomed by those who had a strong year, traders, and were forced to shoulder the losses of their peers. This year also looks tough for investment bankers, thanks to the extension of the M&A drought. Yeah. So bonus season also signals the kickoff to hiring season on Wall Street. Even people who are miserable at their jobs won't change gigs a few months before their bonus lands, but Wall Streeters can start considering their next move once the check clears. Bonus season is also a good way to get a gut check on one's standing within a firm. Wall Street's love language has always been money, and there's no better way for a boss to show their affection than a bonus that'll help you buy a beach house. Meanwhile, a weak bonus is the easiest way to show an employee the door without actually having to fire them. Investment bankers' bonuses will be the most interesting to watch. There's one reason most people get into deal making, and it's not for the love of the game. Bankers expect to be paid well, but another year of lackluster deals makes that harder for banks to do. Banks want to retain those bankers so they can get to work once M&A picks up, but they also can't keep handing out big bonuses when the fees they're bringing in have dried up. Of course, that's not to say bankers don't have options. The venture capital world is in the midst of a talent crisis. So this is going to be interesting to see how things shape up. BlackRock lays off staff. CEO Larry Fink and President Rob Capito announced in an internal memo on Tuesday that the firm would be cutting 3% of its staff, or about 600 people, citing significant changes in the investment industry. War over Taiwan could be devastating for the United States. The country's economy could take a 6 to 7% hit in the first year of conflict if Washington got involved, and a 3.3% hit if China were to blockade the island. Either way, Bloomberg predicts it would be worse than 2020, when the GDP contracted 2.2% due to the COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns. No, the SEC has not approved Bitcoin ETFs for trading. The SEC says its X account was compromised when it announced the long-awaited approval of spot Bitcoin ETF, sparking immediate chaos. Now, that is really, really, really messed up. And it just lets you know a lot of things, actually, but we'll come back to that. Leaked Microsoft presentation, how the company built one of its top generative AI products. Internal audio revealed early development work on Microsoft Security Copilot service. An executive said the company had to cherry pick examples due to AI hallucinations. Snap CEO proclaimed social media is dead. Even Spiegel sent staffers a post holiday note with an upbeat tone. He predicted that Snap is about to transcend the smartphone while lashing out at rivals for connecting pedophiles, funding insurrection, and more. Carter's NASDAQ for private markets came crashing down thanks to a single LinkedIn post. The company shut down its secondary markets product after it was called out on LinkedIn for misusing customer data. Carter CEO called the change my greatest failure and disappointment. Boomers haven't saved enough for retirement, and their kids are going to pay the price. Fewer than half of all boomers say they have saved enough for retirement. That means more government spending will be allocated to older folks and economic growth could slow. Billionaires are still having a hard time figuring out how to save newspapers. Top editor Kevin Moreta's departure from the Los Angeles Times highlights this. And you can catch the money losing vibe by reading between the lines of billionaire owner Patrick Soon-Shiong's staff memo. Exclusive, Sequoia Capital distributed $10 billion to its investors in 2023. Sequoia did this even as it faced steep markdowns last year. The venture firm told its limited partners in a letter last week that it distributed over $42 billion to its investors over the past 5 years. In other news, Tim Cook wants to call the Apple Vision Pro spatial computing. But what's that? Home prices are surging in these 20 cities, including 6 with median prices under 240,000, as buyers rush to snap up properties at faster rates than the rest of the country. Ukrainian soldier describes his 1 in 1,000 escape from one of the most hellish battles of the war. Linda Yacarino is sort of getting her way at X, and some people are getting $92 checks from Apple over the iPhone battery gate scandal. I left Texas and moved to Spain. Life is so good here, I can't ever imagine living in the U.S. again. That's becoming an issue, as you know. People are beginning to expat from the United States of America in droves. Almost a third of employees say their boss being in the office makes them avoid coming in, a survey found. Microsoft's $10 billion partnership with OpenAI faces possible probe by EU watchdog, while companies like Amazon, Walmart, and Target will let you keep some products you want to return, but issue you a refund anyway. And what's happening today? CNN is hosting a Republican presidential primary debate. It'll be moderated by anchors Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. Happy birthday, George Foreman, Pat Benatar, Frank Sinatra Jr., Rod Stewart, and Jared Kushner were born also on this day. On earnings today, we got Artesia, Bang, and Olufsen, among others. Now, let's talk about the chicanery that is going on. All right, so the SEC is claiming that its Twitter account has been compromised, hacked, if you will. All right, so let's just say we let you have that. All right, fine. Your account was hacked. Okay, solid, no problem. But here's the problem. The SEC is a part of the federal government. All right? It oversees the stock market. Why can't the U.S. government secure its government data and computer systems? It seems like every other week we're hearing about a hack. And these aren't small, these are large hacks. I don't think there's a department in the federal government that hasn't been hacked in the last 10 years. And all types of compromising data is stolen. Remember what was that? The Social Security Administration, when they found the laptop with millions of people's information on it from the Social Security Administration. Remember that one? So what's really going on? And who's really to blame? Now, the federal government is a government that is set up to oversee certain parts of the country, and from economics to transportation, right? So they have to either hire experts and make them government employees to oversee and maintain these things, or they have to contract with third party companies, Fortune 500 corporations who specialize in certain areas. Now, for the sake of what we're talking about here, we're talking about computer technology, internet security, online security. There are large companies like Siemens among the few that you hear their advertisements on the radio every day, and how most of the U.S. government, turn to us to keep, their stuff secure and all this other things. So if these Fortune 500 security companies are so good, why is basic hacking and leaking of data happening? That is not being addressed, and it's baffling, and it boggles the mind that it's not being addressed. How is this happening? And it's funny because at every turn, it's claimed that it's either Russia or China. So let me get this straight. You can't protect your infrastructure, but you can find out after the fact who did it. What good is it to be able to solve a crime if you have no way of preventing crime? And how are you able to solve the crime, but you can't prevent the crime? So you know this is happening to the point where you know who did it. So that should tell you how they're doing it. And that should make you be able to stop them from doing it. Why does this keep happening? You have to ask yourself what is going on. So when the SEC says Twitter account was compromised and that it's not approved the Bitcoin ETF, what's really going on? Now, Gary Gensler said the SEC's X social media account was compromised on Tuesday. The SEC X account had announced that a regular approved Bitcoin ETFs for trading, the price of Bitcoin initially spiked to as high as $47,897 following the SEC's post, and then fell to a low of $44,520 at present. So I hear you. Gary Gensler said that the Securities and Exchange Commission's X social media account was compromised on Tuesday and their Bitcoin ETFs have not been approved for trading. Okay, fine. But then shortly after the market closed, the SEC's account posted a now deleted announcement that it approved Bitcoin ETFs for trading, something that has not been widely anticipated by the crypto market. That post was made by an imposter and was deleted soon after. Okay, so now you're able to hack other people's accounts, social media accounts. So now that the multi-billionaire Elon Musk took over X, why isn't an X's security better? Why is it still so easily that a person's account can be hacked? About 15 minutes after the SEC's imposter post, SEC Chair Gary Gensler said from his X account that no Bitcoin ETFs had been approved. But then the question is, well, how can we trust that post? How do we know his account wasn't hacked too? And that's a lie. How do you know anything anymore? in that case, how can you even trust any kind of news coming out of the mainstream media? How do we know their accounts haven't been hacked and bogus news reports are being posted? How do you know anything at this level, at this stage? So about 15 minutes, this is when this happened, but the at SEC Gov Twitter account was compromised and an unauthorized tweet was posted. The SEC has not approved the listing of trading on spot Bitcoin exchange traded products, according to Gensler, but the price of Bitcoin initially spiked and then afterwards, now it's dropping like a rock. So anticipation for a Bitcoin ETF has been mounting for the past few weeks as various applicants offer more details about the fees they will be charging if the ETFs were approved. There are about 13 ETF applications outstanding from issuers including BlackRock, VanEck, ARK, 21 Shares, and Fidelity, among others. Now, for months, investors have been expecting the SEC to approve a slew of Bitcoin ETFs to begin trading on U.S. exchanges. The regulator has a January the 10th deadline to respond to an appeal from ARK 21 Shares on its Bitcoin ETF application. So this brings up yet another issue. All right. So the SEC account has been hacked, but they didn't tell you how it was hacked and who hacked it. And you're not hearing from Twitter about what they're doing about it. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal, folks, and why we're harping on this is because of the implications of this. This, and the SEC is not even addressing it. This is market manipulation, which is supposed to be illegal. You can't put out bogus information and posts that affect the financial markets in any way. That's a crime. That's illegal. And the SEC is not doing anything about it. They're not even talking about it. They're not even mentioning it. What are you doing about this? How are you going to prevent this in the future? We're not being told. We're not hearing it. And that is the problem. All right. That is the problem. No one is dealing with this. You're not hearing the mainstream media talk about it. They're just ignoring it. And a situation like this has the potential to be catastrophic if not dealt with and prevented from happening in the future. What happens if this happens again, but this time it's even worse? You see what I'm saying? They have to deal with this. They have to deal with this. All right? If not, then the next thing is going to be 100 times worse because this is being allowed to happen over and over and over again. This has been going on for over a decade. Hack after hack after hack after hack. One government agency after the next. Non-stop. Non-stop. And nothing is being done about it. No one's being held accountable. Shouldn't the third party that is supposed to be protecting the government's organizations, infrastructure, shouldn't they be fired? Seriously, who's going to answer for this? And why isn't Twitter dealing with this? What's up with Elon Musk? I don't hear nothing. This has the potential to become really problematic. Really problematic. What if they hack another government's Twitter and put out some bogus information that has extreme negative effects? What if they cause a panic? What if they cause a major crisis of unintended consequences? All this needs to be addressed, folks. All right. So just something to think about as we are moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. This is not starting off good for the U.S. government this year. 2024 is not looking good for them. All right. So people need to get their heads out of the backside and wake up and see what's going on, because something is happening and it's not looking good. With that being said, you know what this is. Postwavetrading.com. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.